Welcome to the channel, and in this video I wanted to talk about the 1984 film Dreamscape. It's a genre mashup that's part sci-fi, part horror, and part conspiracy thriller. It stars Dennis Quaid, who's a psychic and is recruited into a dream study where they use psychics to enter people's dreams. Max von Sydow is the lead of the study that's being funded by an evil government agent played by Christopher Plummer, who has nefarious plans and wants to use psychics as government weapons. Having Max von Sydow and Christopher Plummer really helped elevate this movie. The film was well directed by Joseph Rubin, who went on to direct the horror thriller The Stepfather, another excellent movie. He also co-wrote the script with David Lowery and Chuck Russell. Russell would go on to co-write and direct Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and the 1988 remake of The Blob. So there was definitely a lot of talent in front of and behind the camera. I first saw this movie in 2018 when I was just buying up whatever collector's edition Scream Factory had put out, and I was just like, how the fuck is this movie not talked about more? I do tend to respond more to films that combine genres, because in this film you get the sci-fi element of having psychic people enter people's dreams, and each dream sequence is unique. You have one where Dennis Quaid is trying to help a guy from not plummeting to his death on a tall building. Then you have the president who's having nightmares of nuclear war. Then there's the guy who's just insecure and is having nightmares of finding his wife cheat on him. But the standout dream sequence from the film has to deal with the Snake Man, who's haunting this little boy's dreams. So you have all these great sequences, and then there's the conspiracy of Christopher Plummer, who wants to use the psychics for political gain. And the movie came out during the Cold War, and this movie also came out around the same time as Red Dawn, which also dealt with the Cold War. Wolverines! Plummer's character, Bob Blair, wants to use the president's nightmares of nuclear war to his advantage, so he can gain control of our nuclear weaponry. George Wendt, best known for his role on Cheers, plays an investigator who warns Dennis Quaid's character of Plummer's intentions of using the dream linking as a way to carry out assassinations. This wouldn't be the last time Wendt appeared in the horror genre, as he would go on to be in the first House movie a year later. David Patrick Kelly plays the other psychic in the film and is Plummer's accomplice. Kelly always tends to play villainous characters, like in The Crow and Commando, but he'll always be remembered for The Warriors. His delivery in that scene is iconic, and he's great in this film as well. He even learned how to use nunchucks, since his character loves Bruce Lee movies, and his dream self wields them during the climax of the film. The third act is a lot of fun, as Dennis Quaid tries to save the president from David Patrick Kelly. The president is played by Eddie Albert, who was actually good friends with Ronald Reagan, the then president at the time. Some of the effects are dated, but they're still pretty well done, especially for that time. This was an independent production, and they were able to accomplish a lot for the little bit they had to work with. The movie was a modest success and gained a bit of a cult following in the years that followed. I'm sure the Snake Man scared a lot of kids back then. This movie also came out the same year as the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Pretty crazy, both these movies came out a few months apart, and they shared the same concept of where if you die in your dreams, you die in real life. And like I said, Chuck Russell would go on to direct one of the fan favorites in the series with Dream Warriors. Let's get high. Scream Factory put out this collector's edition Blu-ray back in 2016, back when Scream Factory would really put a lot of effort into their releases and make their collector's editions really deserving of that title. Paul Schipper's art is fantastic and was definitely a good selling point for me. I bought this a couple years after it was released, and I'm glad it came with the slipcover. This Blu-ray is still available, and I would recommend any fans to pick it up, and I would even say it's worth the blind buy. The original poster art by Drew Struzan is also fantastic. It's very Indiana Jones-esque, which he did that poster as well, along with other iconic movie posters. The Blu-ray comes with 2 hours of bonus features. There's an hour-long documentary on the making of the film. It features a lot of the principal cast and crew. It goes over the inception of the film, through the production, how they achieved each dream sequence, to talking about the film's legacy. There's a separate featurette on the makeup effects in the film, so you learn how the Snake Man was brought to life by combining a man in the suit, a puppet, and stop motion. Dennis Quaid gets his own dedicated interview, and it's pretty rare nowadays where a big star comes back for an interview with these types of releases. He's pretty fond of the film, and says of all the films and shows that he's been in, that Dreamscape is one of the few that always gets brought up. And if I ever met him, I would for sure mention this movie to him. But also I'd like to bring up Pandorum, another one of my favorite sci-fi films. And if there's time, I would like to hear his thoughts on Jaws 3D. There's also a featurette that is a conversation between the producer Bruce Cohen Curtis and writer Chuck Russell. They reminisce on the making of the film and just how proud they are of it. Russell mentions that he was a big fan of Bruce Lee films, and that's why David Patrick Kelly's character is a Bruce Lee fan. There's no word on a 4K release, but I think Screen Factory still has the rights, so it's inevitable, but why wait when it's still pretty affordable right now? I also own this on UMD, and I actually had no idea this was released for the PSP. I remember being on a trip and just bored one night and scrolling through eBay, and I came across it. I do this from time to time to find a rare movie, or any movie really, that I didn't know was made available to watch on my PSP. So I immediately bought this. It's in great condition, and I can't remember if it was new or used. I'm glad it was released with the original poster art, and not some terrible photoshopped image. There's sadly no special features, but that's pretty typical for this format. I'm just glad it's got a UMD and can watch this whenever I travel, and I actually brought it with me on a road trip a couple years ago. So shout out to Image Entertainment for putting this out. Thanks for watching this video on one of my favorite movies. Let me know what your thoughts are on this film, or whether I swayed you on checking this film out. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a movie time.